Hey everyone, I hope you can hear me. Welcome to this webinar series by GNX. My name is Abhig Banerjee and I'm the president of GNX, Linux User Group. If you have been following us, previously we organized a webinar on machine learning and how to get started with machine learning. Our guest was Dr. Saptarshi Goswami, and you can find his video on our Facebook page. Today we have with us GNX Vice President. In fact, he is one of the founders of GNX, Adrish Day, the youngest Google Summer of Code participant from our college. His domains of work include computer vision and natural language processing. In fact, he is one of the contributors to TensorFlow. So those who are AI enthusiasts, I'm sure you guys know and have heard about TensorFlow among other frameworks. So he will be giving a getting started episode kind of a thing in this first episode. And this whole webinar series, it's titled Linux A to Z. It's programmed to help you get started with Linux. And by the end of 3 episodes, we hope that you will have enough knowledge to contribute to the Linux kernel. That's the program we are having. So this is the first episode. The next voice you'll be hearing is of Adrish Day. Do not be alarmed if the screen is not showing for quite a few minutes. In fact, Adrish has recorded his voice first, and he has been recording it for quite some time now. I hope you all enjoy this webinar. So, yeah, so Adrish, on to you.
Hey everyone, this is Audrish, and welcome to the first episode of Linux A2Z series by GNX, the official Linux user group of Netaji Subhash Engineering College. In this series, we will show you the nitty-gritty details of Linux operating system, from installation of Linux to building Linux device drivers, or LKMs in short. To all those who know me, hi again, and to all those who don't know me, hey, I'm Audrish. I'm a senior year CS undergrad of Netaji Subhash Engineering College. I'm a machine learning researcher currently working under Dr. Shahruz Ryan Alimo, Senior Research Scientist of Deep Learning Group of Jet Propulsion Laboratory, NASA. Enough about me. Let's dive straight into our first episode, installing Linux and booting up for the first time. But before starting off with before starting off with installation of Linux, let's first start off with a very cliched question. Why Linux? Well, there are a lot of reasons why Linux is better than any other operating system, especially Windows. Well, for starters, Linux is completely free. The operating system which you download is yours completely, even the source code. So, for example, if you want to build something which is currently not supported, or if you want a feature which is currently not supported, you don't have to worry about waiting around till the company builds something for you. You can, if you know coding or if you are a better Linux programmer, you can obviously build it yourself and use it for your own purposes, or even sometimes share it with the world. So, first point, Linux is free. No, there is no need for any money to use Linux. You get the original version for free. Now, coming to the second point, despite of all those rumors around the world that Linux is not user friendly, I can assure you the recent versions of Linux are much user friendly than any other Windows system. Do you know the reason? Okay, so let me tell you the reason that Linux, the current UI of Linux, has been the inspiration for a lot of mobile applications, or should I say, a lot of mobile platforms. So for that reason, a lot of the UI of the phone menus and stuff are similar to that of Linux. Find in, in finds in You find it intriguing? I think that's one of the very big reasons that why people should not be afraid of Linux. Number third, reliability. Do you know do you know where and how Linux is being used by people around the world? So let me start. let me start off with the smallest example possible. So I guess most of you already have MI bands and stuff, MI bands or any other smart watches like Huawei MI. So these bands, the bands which you're wearing on your wrist, most of them runs on Linux. The phone which you're using, the Android phone which you're using, that Google stock Android phone, all those magical gizmo words which you're hearing all around, all those phones, like most of those phones except for Apple's, all those Android phones runs on Linux. Even your smart fridge, smart TV, smart refrigerator, and forget about smart, even those Bravia normal TVs which you use at home runs on Linux. Well, and coming to the most important part, from the smallest device, from an electric toaster to a huge server which runs on terabytes of data, Linux is being used everywhere. Even sometimes even in the ATM machines they use Linux. So what I'm trying to say is Linux is reliable than any other Windows operating system ever built or ever has been used. And thanks to a team of thousands of developers who has contributed to the code base of Linux for free without asking for any money. That has made Linux one of the biggest and the most powerful operating system in our time. Number 4, hardware. Well, hardware, as I already said, from the smallest device to the largest device runs on Linux. And guess what? That gives, and what do I mean by smallest device? From devices having around 100 kbs of RAM to devices having around having thousands of GBs of RAM, all of these devices can run on Linux, and that's the power Linux has. The way it controls the hardware, the way it allocates resources, the way it uses the things properly, I can assure you Windows can't ever come near it. And yeah, they have been trying for a long time, trying to get inspiration from the Linux society, but still they are miles apart, miles away, should I say. So, coming back to the point, hardware. Yes, Linux is, you can run Linux if you have a 256 MB RAM, and you can run Linux if you have, let's say, 8 GBs of RAM. In every cases, Linux rules, right? Now coming to the software, around 95% of the software which you use in Linux is free. Free means you don't have to pay a single penny for it, and you will get the original version. So you might be saying, yeah, obviously on Windows we use some softwares, but my friend, you use paid software by paying for it, either by paying for it or downloading the cracked version from torrent. And who knows when those torrents are hosted, what the hackers might have put inside. So you never know the torrents which you download are completely secure, completely safe, since those have been used. So the cracks which have been used to bypass the passwords or bypass the product key are virus themselves, right? So none of those things which you use, which you don't pay for and use on Windows, are completely out of the box original. But in Linux, you get that for free. And it's not for Linux actually. You can even use some of the tools on, let's say, Windows or Mac. But the biggest and the highest number of free softwares are available for Linux. Not Windows, not Mac. And guess what? They are much, much, much better than all those paid software that you use. Now coming to the most important point which you guys have been hearing a lot, that Linux system are secure and they don't have any viruses. Well, that might sound a bit far-fetched, but trust me, Linux systems are completely secure. And yeah, if someone wants to hack your Linux system, and if you're not careful about it, if you being the administrator of the system is not careful about it, obviously anyone can hack into the system. But if you are careful, or let's say out of the Linux that comes out of the box is completely secure. There is no way that someone can hack into Linux, into an out of the box delivered Linux by just any kind of means. The Linux and do you know the best part? In Linux, none of the data is sent behind your back. And guess what? In Windows systems, a lot of the data, a lot of the software crash logs and stuff are being sent via your internet, and you don't even know that those things are online. And who knows, during the transfer, anyone can hack into a system and can access your private data. Sounds scary, right? And coming to the most important point of Linux, one of the most important point which I feel is freedom. Linux can be installed in any system, any place. I mean, like literally any place where there is a processor and a RAM and those things, those basic things that build up, that makes a computer, can be installed in any place, from Raspberry Pis to big servers, from MI bands to again big servers, from ATMs, anywhere Linux can be used, and all of those for free. There is no need to pay any money to use Linux. And even not just that, if you want to build something, you can obviously go ahead and suggest your changes. And let me tell you a small story. I think most of you have heard about NSA has been spying on us. NSA, that Edward Snowden story. Do you know how NSA gets access to all those systems all over the internet? The main path for NSA to hack into your system is through Windows. Well, you might be asking how. I'm not biased against Windows. No, there are a lot of things in Windows which are, good, but security is not one of them. So the main reason is Windows is a closed source operating system. That means only a finite amount of people can see the source code that makes Windows. And among these finite amount of developers inside Microsoft, there might be cases, right, where there are certain kinds of memory leaks or any kind of bugs that have crept into the code. So those things, those small bugs, nobody notices them at Microsoft, and those things get shipped onto your system. Even the ransomware attack, which happened a few years back, was because of that some of the developers didn't notice a certain bug in their code base. And for NSA, so the story is all of the systems in the Senate, in White House, or in any other government organization of the United States run Windows. And those windows are not directly, those windows directly doesn't come from Microsoft. Microsoft has to give their source code to NSA, who then finds out the bug, troubleshoots them, fixes the bugs, recompile the operating system, recompile the Windows, and then send it back to the government officials. And during this time, while they're fixing the bugs which Microsoft might have left out, they leave some of the very minute bugs so that nobody can detect them at first, so that nobody can detect them obviously, but also those are the backdoors which NSA keeps to enter into our systems. Not mine, not yours, like in everyone's system. And you might be thinking that you don't have anything to hide, so why do you care about security? Well, you might not have something important, but your identity is the most important thing that can happen to you on online. What I mean to say is, so let's say a certain hacker tries to hack into a system. So he will not use his own identity to hack into his system, right? So he will not use his own computer to hack into a system. Otherwise, anyone can go back and figure out who hacked into the system and can catch the person directly. So most of the hackers, what they do, they to create something called botnets, where all these vulnerable machines act as zombie computers, and whenever the hacker asks the botnet or this network of zombie computers to attack certain system, these computers, without even letting the user know that they're up to something, these computers tries to hack into those secure systems. And once those secure systems get compromised, or once anyone sees that yeah, someone is trying to compromise these systems, if anyone finds out, then the person who who is having a zombie computer gets the blame first. That means the hacker will do his job, he will steal the data and will leave, but you are the one who will be blamed and who will face all those legal prosecutions initially. So I don't think anyone would like to get punished for something they have not even done. So there is still time. Switch to Linux. Now, coming to one of the most important questions which you're having in your mind. Okay, so this is what Linux is, and I want to download it. I want to use it. How should I get started? So the easiest way to get started on Linux is by downloading the Linux operating system online and also downloading something called VirtualBox. I will obviously ask anyone who can install operating system to go ahead and install in your system. I can't be blamed for that, by the way. That's your completely your decision. But to be safe, I will be showing how to install Linux or how to use Linux in VirtualBox. Virtu- so let's go ahead and download VirtualBox. Okay. Yep. So here, just click on downloads. And if you're on Windows system, go ahead and click on Windows host. If you're on Linux system, you can go ahead and click for Linux. Actually, if you're on Linux system, you don't need to download and install VirtualBox. Your system is only enough. And if you're on Mac, then again go ahead and click on OS X hosts. And I don't think Linux or Mac users really need to worry about running Linux on VirtualBox. What I mean is the OS X or the Mac system that you're using, if anyone is using right now, is you don't need to use Linux on your OS X system. You can obviously fire up the terminal in your OS X system, and that should be good to go. So I have already downloaded and installed VirtualBox. So let me get started, and so let me just fire this thing up. Yeah, gonna take some time. And in the meantime, yep, it's here. And in the meantime, what I would do is I will download something. I'll download the operating system of Ubuntu. You can choose any OS or any flavors of Linux you want. There are tons of flavors out there. So I personally use elementary OS, but for demonstration purposes, or should I say you know for ease of use, I would suggest you to go for beginner friendly reasons. I would suggest you to go and download Ubuntu, and you can obviously go to ubuntu.com, and from there you can download Ubuntu. So click on downloads. This is very trivial thing to do, but still I'm gonna show, and Ubuntu will start downloading in a second. Yep, it's here. So in this way you can download Ubuntu, and what you will get is an ISO file. So I have already downloaded Ubuntu, so I don't need to download it again. So let's just cancel this thing out, and let's head back to VirtualBox. This is something I don't need to worry about. So here I'll create a new instance. I'll call it Ubuntu for obvious reasons, and I'm gonna save the files which I install here into a place called VMs folder. Ubuntu 64-bit. These configurations doesn't really matter, but still it's good to have them. I'll give the system 2 GB of memory. I'll create a new virtual hard disk. I'll go for VHD, and always choose dynamically allocated. It's recommended. It's not like you have to choose it. It's recommended since you don't want to waste your device. So sorry, you don't want to waste your space with something that doesn't even exist. So let's click on dynamic memory, dynamic size, 10 GBs of data, 10 GBs of hard drive. I think that's cool enough. Now I'll try to mount. I'll mount the Ubuntu drive. I'll mount the Ubuntu ISO which I have. So click on choose a disk file. I have my Ubuntu ISO here. I can click on open. Okay. Yup. Then I can click on start. I'll choose Ubuntu. Start. So this is gonna take some time, but this will launch up the Ubuntu operating system in my virtual device. Sorry, in my virtual box. So let's give it a moment. Okay. So the installation window is here. I can install Ubuntu, but I really don't need to install Ubuntu. I just want to try Ubuntu out at first. So I can just click on try Ubuntu and wait for the Ubuntu OS to launch up. It's not like Windows that you have to install the OS to use the OS. You can even use the OS without actually installing it. So let's give it some time. Ubuntu should boot up. Okay, so Ubuntu is here. The system has boot up, and you can obviously go ahead and use the OS as you like. So if you want to go for full screen, you can surely do that. Like click on full screen mode and you will be in full screen. But I really don't want to go for full screen mode, so let's just not go full screen. So as you can see, this thing is not, so the OS will kind of lag on my system. The reason being I have a lot of Firefox tabs open, so that has taken up a lot of space on my RAM. So it's gonna lag on my system. But still, I guess you get the basic idea. So yeah, so as you can see, this is not really much difficult of an operating system, it looks like, right? Here is the file manager. Like any phone has a file manager, Ubuntu also has a file manager. Or let's say it's much like Windows Explorer of Windows. Here are the browsers, and in the music player, here's the document LibreOffice Writer. So it's not Word, this is not Excel, this is not PowerPoint, but still they are really useful, uh, really useful open source alternative for Office suites, for Office applications. So let's get back to the main system and kind of browse around a bit. I would suggest anyone who is following this tutorial right now and have launched an Ubuntu VirtualBox, I have launched an Ubuntu virtual machine. I would ask you to go around and use the thing a little bit, like go around the OS, go around all those places where you want to see what's happening in there. And if you don't like it, you can obviously stop watching the video right here. It's totally fine. And you might be asking where are the drives. So the drives are here actually. So I don't have only one drive. So yep, 1 GB. I can, if I want to see more drives, where are the other drives, I can go here, and there's this software called gparted, which can show me the rest of the drives in my system. This is gonna take some time to start. See, I started out with a 10 GB system, so here is my 10 GB hard drive. I can create a new partition and I can use this drive for my general usage, obviously. So this is Ubuntu, this is Linux, and I don't think that it's difficult at all. And all those difficult things which you have been hearing about, all those things which people say that Ubuntu is difficult, is mainly because they try to refer to the terminal. So we'll be focusing mostly on the terminal, since that's one of the most powerful thing for a Linux operating system. Not just Ubuntu, not just elementary, not Arch Linux, not Kali Linux, nothing. The terminal is the core of every Linux operating system. And in this series, we'll be focusing on how to use the terminal. So for now, I don't really want to run those terminal things here. It will be easier for me if I can use my own terminal. Let's just power off the machine. Yeah, VirtualBox. Sure. So I have fired up my terminal. So to fire up your terminal, press Ctrl Shift T. Is it ready? Awesome. So now, what is a terminal basically? A terminal is kind of a textual representation of your complete operating system. That means wherever we are in the file structure, or should I say in the file system, terminal is like a terminal is like a prompt where we can type and do things, given that we are in a certain file system. So we are currently in the home directory. I can obviously show you where home directory is. So here's the home directory. This is my system's home directory. I know this is a bit nasty, but yeah, okay. So if you go ahead and check, this is the same home directory as you're seeing it right here, but in a textual format. There are so many colors to it, so I think you will not get bored. Now, the most important thing about any the most important thing about browsing through any file system is trying to check what files are there, or what are the things there in my current folder. So when you double click on any local disk C or local disk D of your Linux, sorry, of your Windows operating system, you see a list of files or folders, right? So in case of Linux, to list the files and folders in your current directory or in a current folder, you can type ls. Ls stands for list. So ls, and all your files and folders are here. Everything is here. And then after ls, like after seeing the files, what we generally do, we either copy it and paste it, or we either maybe move it, like we either cut and paste some files, or we move some file, copy paste it, right? So for copying, we can use this function, we can use this command called cp, and copy any file. Let's say I should have a test file somewhere. Yeah, test.txt. Let's check what's in the test.c file. So this is some C program I wrote a long time back. I don't even remember why, but yeah, let's copy this to hash table.c maybe, and I will use a notepad specifically for Linux called gedit to see what are the contents of my text file. See, this is not difficult at all, and I really think anyone who is currently watching this video will at least get a briefest idea that how things generally work in the terminal. You just type commands to do things which you can do by clicking around. And why should you prefer typing than clicking around? Well, because first of all, that's cool. That's much cool. You can obviously show off to people who don't know Linux terminals, and they will get a sensation that you are kind of hacking or something. And the third most important thing is for optimizing your time. So clicking around the OS, or clicking around any file structure or any place in anywhere of any operating system, causes is really slow. Like, you have to click around to find something. You have to click around. But if you know the name of some file or folder, you don't have to find it. You can just use it from here. And even if you don't know the name of some file and folder, you can obviously search it from this terminal. So if I had no idea that there is this thing, I just want to know what I just know that there is this file called test. I don't know the extension name, so I can obviously find what the extension name of my. I can obviously find what kind of files I have under the same file name. So I can go for test star. Sorry. Yep. So to find a file of, let's say, the name test, I know the first part of the name is test. I don't know what the second part is. So I can obviously go for find dot minus name test star. Oops. And it will search the entire directory, entire places, to find all those files having the name test, that ends having the name which starts with test and ends with something. So you can see in all those files that it starts with test and it ends with something else, right? So this is how you can go around in Linux, and it's much more optimized to use the terminal rather than clicking around the entire system. Another thing which you would like to do in a Linux system, in a Linux operating system or any kind of operating system is to create new directories, right? Or to create new folders. So you can go for mkdir, which stands for make dir, sorry, which stands for make directory. You can create a folder at this point or in any place you want. So let's say if I want to create a folder called test. Oops, test already exists. So let's create a folder called gnx, and I can go for cd gnx. Yep. So as you can see, my folder name comes here, and this tilde stands for home. So the current path where I am in is inside home, inside gnx folder. So this is how a Linux system basically works. And I would ask every one of you who is watching right now and who has no idea about what Linux is, please try out, please browse through the OS, please look around the internet and come up with some, like, try to like try to grasp the system, or should I say try to embrace Linux. So this might seem a bit quirky, but trying to figure out, like, trying learning an operating system is not that difficult, provided if it's not Windows, obviously. So learning an operating system is not that difficult, and learning the terminal is not that difficult either. Everything that you do while clicking around in a Windows operating system, you're doing it from terminal. And obviously you can go and click around in Linux also. So let me, yep. So as you can see, I'm currently in my, yeah. So I'm currently in, I'll go to my folders, and I can obviously click around a bit. I can obviously find those files. I can read some files from here. I can obviously do that. But this is not optimized. This is not the best that we can do. So using the terminal will help you to take in a lot of information in a very less amount of time. So that's it for today. Hope to see you guys in the next video. Bye.